Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to say hello and welcome to the Black Financial Channel. Today, I'm going to talk about Elon Musk and Twitter and whether or not Twitter stock is worth buying, and also let you guys know why this has been a pretty terrible year for Elon Musk. We're going to break some of this down for you, so get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. This is theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every single day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day. And the condition is that we are Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first means that we are builders. Black first means that we raise our families the right way. Black first means we educate our kids on economics. So if you are in that category, put a B1 in the chat. And I want to say hello to everybody that's in here. I see El Hodge and Terrence Tech, Max Jerome, Terry Cobb out of Atlanta, Robert Thompson. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Please shout out the city that you're from. Let me know what city you're from. I love to see what city you guys are coming from. Okay, so let's see. Jazz says YouTube will not allow me to get notifications. Yeah, sometimes I get myself in trouble because I just sort of speak my truth and I can't apologize for it. I won't apologize for it. So if you want to get notifications, hit the notification bell as you subscribe. And sometimes even that doesn't work so well, but we can at least try. And I do have more than one YouTube channel. And yesterday we had a great conversation with Dr. Claude Anderson. He came in and he really, upset some folks because, we were talking about, you can go watch the video. It's on drboycetv.com. And Dr. Anderson, when I asked him, I said, so what did you think about Deion Sanders going to Colorado? And Dr. Anderson literally jumped in and just said, my question from a Powernomics perspective is, how does this benefit Black people? And so what he did was he went down the history of the Negro Leagues and how the Negro Leagues also had talented people that went to go work for the white organizations and the Black community got nothing. He also talked about how, it made me really think about even, with Deion being prime time and everybody likes it kind of because it's kind of flashy and stuff like that. He was using the example of skin and bones. He said, I'm skin and he's bones, and we skin and bones, yakka, yakka, yakka. And he basically was claiming that whole like shining, that prime time skin and bones, buck dance kind of thing has been something that's been going on with athletes for a long time. And I think that that's hard for us to hear because we're so used to it and we like it. Like we're entertained by it like everybody else. But what I think Dr. Anderson was really trying to say is that if you don't take yourself seriously, you will be seen as a joke. And if you don't look at how the community benefits, then the community will never benefit. And that's really true. You look at your universities are falling apart. You look at your businesses are small and raggedy compared to the white man's businesses. So you look at your schools, you don't own any schools, you don't own any hospitals. So what he was basically saying is that even though we're happy when a Black person gets a job, we're very, very happy about that. He argues that we were trained to be happy about that. We were trained to be happy when a Black person goes to work for a white person. That's why we cheered on. We said, yeah, of course you'd want to leave a Black business. Well, who would ever want to be associated with a Black institution when you can be associated with a white institution? And I think that that's something worth thinking about. You may not agree. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree, but it's okay. We don't really need everybody to get it. What you need is a few good men and a few good women, a small number of people who understand what's going on. And, the reality is that Black wealth, I lost my image here. Black wealth doesn't need to be understood by everybody. Black wealth, it doesn't need to be, it's not going to be understood by everybody. It's not something that everybody's going to get. Not everybody is a wealth builder. Not everybody is an empire builder. Not everybody is meant to run a business. Not everybody's meant to even invest. Not everybody's meant to be wealthy. You live in a capitalist society, so you're going to have a lot of people, some of whom are in your own families that will never have any wealth. Give me a yes in the chat if you hear what I'm saying, if you understand where I'm coming from. You have people in your family that will never, 2 generations, 3 generations from now, they're poor now. They're going to be poor 2 generations from now. You have people around you who will never ever know what it's like to be their own boss. They will always have a boss. You will have people in your own family that will never ever own anything. And it's sad to say, I mean, it sucks because you kind of want to believe, okay, if we get everybody on board, then everybody's going to get it and we're all going to rise up together. we're not all going to rise up together. We're just not. It's like if you go to Navy SEAL training, everybody who applies to be a Navy SEAL ain't going to be a Navy SEAL. If you go try to climb Mount Everest, everybody that tries to climb Mount Everest ain't going to climb Mount Everest. You start a marathon. Everybody who starts the race is not going to finish the race. And most people, the vast majority of the people in a marathon, are not even in the race. They stayed home. They chose not to get in the race. So I applaud those of you who are trying to get into the race. And what I'm encouraging you to do is, decide how committed you are to it. And here's the beautiful part, right? This is the explanation to help you understand that we don't need every Black person in America to become a wealth builder. All you really need are about 10% of the community that becomes deeply committed to really competing with the white man. That's all you need. If you have 10% of the community that says, if he can own a business, I can own a business. If he can own property, I can own property. If he can create a sports league, then we can create a sports league. If he can have employees, I can have employees. You just need 10% of the community to think that way. And if you have that 10%, then what happens is that 10% will employ the other 90%. The other 90% who aren't built for it, who aren't ready for it. It's just like the military. Everybody, the military says we only need a few good men and women, right? They don't need everybody, but that 10% or whatever, or that joins the military, they protect everybody else. So God bless those of you who are in that top 10%. And I think that what we just asked for those who are not in the 10% is at least show respect to the people who are willing to sort of go out there and put it on the line. And so last night, Dr. Anderson really, really laid it out there. And I was really impressed by what he had to say. I said, "Ooh, buddy," when people hear what he has to say about the whole Deion Sanders Colorado thing, they're going to get very upset. But they can't argue with him. They can't argue. The biggest argument they could really make is that, that he should be allowed to do what he wants to do. Right. And that's fine. I mean, because that's 100% true. The biggest argument they could also make is, well, that's a lot of money. He could put his sons on a bigger platform. All those arguments are fine. The problem is that those are the arguments that have always been made when the Black community has its institutions bought and stolen from other people. It's always been that. They made the same argument when Jackie Robinson went to Major League Baseball. There were some people who said, well, if you stick around, you can pour your talents into something that we own and we get to control all of that. And thousands of people get to keep their jobs and their opportunities because you're here, because you are the shining star. But then there are other people who are like, man, leave that man alone. Let him go make his money. Let him go be on a bigger platform, And so this is not a new debate. What I really want to happen is those of you who understand that other side of it to really be committed to that, to just know you're not crazy. You're not the only one who looks at that and says, okay, if that's the way we've been doing things for the last 100 years, maybe that's why we don't own anything. Maybe that's why we don't have the institutions we deserve. That maybe that's why we owned more land 100 years ago than we own today, because we always tell each other to sell out. Maybe that's why we don't have businesses like we did 50 years ago, because we keep telling each other to sell out. Maybe that's why we don't have schools in our community and we don't control our own institutions, because we keep telling each other, sell as soon as you can. And so when you're talking about becoming a wealth builder, I'm not talking to the people who don't want to be wealth builders. I'm not talking to the people who don't care about power, or those who feel fully integrated. Maybe there are some Black people who really have no bone to pick with white folks, because if you're a famous athlete or an entertainer, white people will always treat you well. So there are Black people, like Lil Wayne said racism basically doesn't exist. He said, he said, white people treat me fine. Well, that's because he's Lil Wayne, because he's a famous rapper. But for those that understand, I'm asking you to just take a stand on where you stand, and don't feel like you have to go with what has already been done, because it's been proven beyond any scientific doubt. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. It's been proven that the old method does not work. It is not a powernomics-based method. It is not a method that generates any form of community power, any form of community strength, any form of community economic influence on any significant level. The most you ever become are consumers and employees. That's it. That's really it. Consumers. So you're either working for a white man or you're buying from a white man. You never sell it. You're not allowed to sell to a white man. You're not allowed to have him come work for you. That's not what you're allowed to do. That's the mindset of some of our people. And that's why you kind of have to really have that conversation. And, because I brought it up, there were people who said that I was beating a dead horse with the issue. And I'm like, no. You got to keep beating the dead horse until the damn horse wakes up. I don't see the Black community as a dead horse. The Black community, our wealth and power is not a dead horse. It is a sleeping horse. It's a sleeping horse. So yeah, I think you kick that horse until the horse wakes up, because the horse has been asleep for a very long time. It makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever that you own fewer businesses than you did 70, 80 years ago, when there was 100 times more racism, black people being lynched around the country. You didn't have civil rights laws. You couldn't even shop across town, but you had more businesses back then than you do now. You had more, you own more property back then than you do now. You had, your kids were doing better in school back then than they are now. You had different value systems then than you have now that were better and more productive. So you can't tell me that this other model has been working. The best you could say to me is, leave Dion alone. Let him. He should go take that job and do whatever he wants to do. And that's 100% true. I'm not even going to argue with you on that. I'm really here to talk to the people who think that perhaps there is a higher purpose that we have that goes beyond simply every celebrity going out and just making whatever amount of money they can make for themselves, and forgetting the whole community. That's what's wrong with all of Africa. That's why all of Africa, you have Nigeria. That's why Nigeria has $1 trillion worth of oil in the ground, but they have more poverty than you can ever imagine. How can you have $1 trillion worth of oil in the ground and have all that poverty? Well, it's because all the rich people are telling each other, man, just go get your money. Dutch Shell came over and they offered your family $10 million to sell out all of Nigeria. So just give them all the oil they want, and you and your family will live good. That's what they tell each other. I know this because when I went to Nigeria, I'm 40% Nigerian. I'm Igbo. That's my DNA. When I went to Nigeria, I remember I sat with very wealthy people in Nigeria. When I came to Nigeria, I was with a group of VIPs, and we literally had security and guys with black suits and sunglasses and SUVs and bulletproof, all this other stuff. So they really kept us in that elite space of the protected class. And so I got to listen to the conversations amongst wealthy Nigerians and how they talked about the people. And they talked about the people like they were dogs. They talked about the people like they didn't matter. They talked about it like, well, look, we'll make our deal with the Europeans and with the Chinese, get our money. I send my daughter to London. The guy was in the car where he said, I send my daughter to London to go to college, and we go to Europe and we go shopping, and we spend $25,000 every time we go shopping in Europe. And he's driving me through the middle of the most unbelievable poverty that you've ever seen. I just didn't say a word because I didn't really want to get into that debate with him. But I really want you to kind of be, sort of hip to that kind of destructive elitism. And I see it happen sometimes in the United States when we will say, okay, a celebrity has a right to do whatever they want to do. They have no obligation to anybody other than themselves and their family. And we'll sit back and cheer for them while they sell everything that's good and valuable in the Black community. I'm not a fan of that. So that's my belief, but it doesn't have to be anybody else's belief. But I'm going to repeat that because I need everyone to know that not everybody thinks that way. Not everybody is sitting back and saying, go to every celebrity and screw you to the Black community. Like if you always do that, then you'll never really have any institutions. And I don't think that's the best approach. So that's my 2 cents. So let me tell you guys a little bit about some of the stuff that's been going on. If you could do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you share and subscribe. And also, I want to show you guys. I hope you'll give me 1 second of time and take note of someone who's actually sponsoring this podcast. This is a company called Pathways United. And so if you're actually interested in applying for funding for your grant from the Department of Energy or the National Science Foundation, they can actually help you out. Their website is pathwaysunited.org, pathwaysunited.org. And there's a ton of areas down here, from agricultural decarbonization to electricity, high energy physics, renewable energy, water, waste management, industrial decarbonization. So if you're in that category where you've got some ideas and you're looking for grant funding, they can assist you. And I'll put their URL up on the screen. And I want to say thank you to pathwaysunited.org for being a sponsor of this platform today. All right, so let me tell you guys a little bit about what's going on with Elon Musk and Tesla. So this is a tough year for Elon Musk. Tesla stock has been in the absolute garbage. In fact, the last year, Tesla stock has gone down about 70%. It's been a complete train wreck. It's been a real embarrassment for Elon. Now, mind you, if you'd bought Elon stock, 5 years ago, you would have made a ton of money. You would have had a 500% ROI if you'd owned it over a 5-year period. But if you just bought it a year ago, you've lost about 67% in the last year. The stock is at 119.34. There are a lot of reasons, and I mentioned some of those reasons why there are reasons to short Tesla stock right now. There are lots of people who believe that Tesla stock is going to continue to plummet until the Fed reverses its policy. Until the Fed stops increasing interest rates, Tesla stock is going to continue to get hammered and beaten down and all this other stuff. Now, here's the thing though. Tesla's a little bit of a mixed bag, So on one hand, you have the people that expect Elon Musk and Tesla to just suffer for all of eternity. They also, I remember I had a conversation with a young brother when I was in Arizona speaking at a conference, and he had owned 3 Teslas, and he said, I stopped buying Teslas and I bought a Rivian instead. And I said, tell me why, what happened? And he just basically explained how he just felt like the Rivians were better and he was kind of done with the Teslas. And so I thought, maybe Rivian is making a move on Tesla. But actually, Rivian, their problem is they have a hard time making their cars. Like they promised that they would manufacture 25,000 cars this year. They only made about 14,000. Also, Rivian is losing money. They're going to continue to lose money. And I think they make a lot of trucks. I think trucks are kind of their specialty. And Ford has a really good electric truck. I assume GM and some other companies are going to have an electric truck that will probably eat away at market share for Rivians, right? So I don't know if Rivian stock is a good long-term investment. I did, buy some Rivian stock to sell the options on the Rivian stock. But usually when I sell the options, it's because I don't believe that the stock has a lot of upside. I just want to sell, and make cash from the people that believe that there's going to be upside, right? So Rivian, I don't see that being a major player. However, with Tesla, I have very mixed feelings about Tesla. I think right now, this is a bad year for Elon, not just because Tesla stock is in the garbage, but also because he's making it worse by being, just really controversial. From a business standpoint, controversy does not help you if you're the CEO of a major corporation. It'll cause your stock price to drop. So Elon has created a lot of enemies in the way he's kind of operated on Twitter. I happen to agree with him, actually, believe it or not, politically. I think that what Elon's doing is actually kind of cool. I like reading the Twitter files. You guys know my personal opinions about things. Like I feel like the government, I didn't like the way things were handled during the pandemic. I felt like people should have had more freedom to make certain choices. I didn't believe putting all that pressure on people to do things they weren't comfortable doing. But from a business standpoint, Elon's behavior is going to be very costly financially. So Tesla stock has been dropping. Also, he's made it worse because he's been selling a lot of Tesla stock. And then also China, which is a big bread and butter point for Tesla, is actually reducing its demand for electric cars. So all these things are kind of coming together to push down Tesla stock. Now, one of the things that's really interesting, though, about Twitter, not Twitter, I'm sorry, Tesla and Elon Musk, is that there are some analysts, though, who really believe that once the Fed flips its policy, that Tesla's going to go crazy, that stock is going to head right back up to the sky, and that really got my attention. Like I was reading their logic, and their argument was that they're going to lose some market share, but they're way ahead in terms of innovation. They have good cash flow. What were some of the things that I was reading about Tesla that really got my attention? They were talking about just the fact that they can manufacture these electric cars better than everyone else. And so a lot of, let me see here. They said that there will be a lot of lower priced entrants coming into the market that will drop their market share from maybe 70% of the electric vehicle market to 50%. But they said that Tesla's going to dominate at least through 2026. They gave a price target. A company called Evercore gave a price target, meaning the price expectation of Tesla of $350 for 2023. $350. Do you know what Tesla stock is trading at now? Does anybody know? Answer in the chat if you know what Tesla stock is trading at now. I'm going to give you a second to answer as you hit the thumbs up button. Where's Tesla stock trading at now? Okay, I gave you some time. Yep, it's trading at 119. 119. 119. So I'm not here to tell you that Tesla is definitely going to go up. And you got to remember that analysts have different opinions, and they're going to, there are just as many analysts out there that might disagree. But when I sort of read that and I saw so much optimism, it made me investigate further to really see where this might be coming from. And if this is true, you're talking about a 220% ROI. And they're talking about a year. They're not talking about 5 years down the line. This is a year. That's huge. That's a big deal. So, you know what? I'm not here to tell you to buy Tesla. I'm not recommending it one way or the other. And also, this is not investment advice, but if you own some shares of Tesla just in case, I don't think that would make you stupid. I think that the Elon Musk just sent out an email to his team the other day, and one of the things he said to his team is he said, don't worry about the stock price craziness. He blamed it pretty much on the Fed. The Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes have been killing stocks all across the board, especially tech stocks or what they call long duration stocks. Long duration stocks are companies like Tesla that are going to make their money way out into the future, right? Because Tesla is only a fraction of what they expect that this company can be. But there was an argument to be made that Tesla was overvalued. When it got over $1 trillion, it just didn't seem to make sense. And I agree with that. But I think maybe at 119, or maybe let's say it drops even lower, let's say it drops to 110, 105, it becomes a much, much more compelling stock to invest in. And Tesla comes off to me as one of those companies that is going to just explode once the Fed indicates that they're going to slow down their interest rate hikes. Like once the Fed is kind of like, okay, we probably won't raise interest rates anymore. We're kind of done. Oh, Tesla to the kaboom to the moon. But the thing about it is you're gonna have a lot of stocks that do that. So if you're an investor or if you're thinking about investing, you may want to plant your seed now so it can grow. When the rainy season hits, it's gonna rain at some point in a good way. Meaning that the Fed is gonna make it rain again. And when it does, a lot of these stocks are going to take off. But if you don't make the move now, then you're going to miss it. So for example, there was a stock I mentioned today on my Twitter called Melco. Melco is an entertainment company out of Taiwan or something. And and this came from a conversation I had with my brother-in-law, and he mentioned it, and I looked it up. I said, "Oh, this is a nice stock." So I bought some for me and Alicia, and didn't even think about it. And and so I looked at it, he called me, he said, "Yeah, did you see Melco, man? Melco's doing." I said, "Really? Is it?" I don't know. I haven't looked at it. And I saw this stock went up 160% in the last, few months or since I bought it with my brother-in-law. So I put a screenshot up on Twitter and I said, "Oh yeah, this is this is one of my favorite stocks this year. Look at this thing." And somebody said something like, "Well, it would have been nice if you told us a few months ago." And I was like, but I did tell you a few months ago. I have, in our stock class, in our stock market class, we have something called What Dr. Boyce is Buying. And I let you guys know a lot of the stocks that I invest in. And I said, now, if you didn't listen, then that's up to you. But the thing about it is with investing, you better find some method to get there ahead of the game. If you show up a day late and $1 short, you're always going to miss it. Everybody's interested in where the money's at once the money has arrived. But it's the smart person who's interested not in where the money's at. You want to be interested in where the money's going to be. So like if you're picking out real estate, you don't buy property in the neighborhood because it got gentrified. You try to figure out which neighborhood's going to get gentrified next. And then you buy property there. My goddaughter's in Atlanta, and she asked me to loan her some money to put a down payment on a house. And I gave her the money. And I said, okay, this is my one big gift to you. So I hope you're smart with it. And she went and she put the money down and she bought a house in Southwest Atlanta. And in the neighborhood was not the best neighborhood, but she had scoped out where they were building. It was near that new stadium that they have. And literally, she called me a year later and she said, "Can you believe that the value of my house went up by $100,000 in 1 year? I can't believe I made $100,000 without working." And so ultimately, the reality is that at the end of the day, you have to think ahead. You can't just react to things. You have to be proactive. So don't react, proact. Does that make sense? So to proact is to be pro-Black. How about that? That's our little saying that we're going to use in the Black Business School too. If you proact, that means you act in Black. All right. So proact is pro-Black. Okay. Do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Let's see here. Let's see. Tanya says, Dr. Boyce, is there someone in the Black Business School that can be hired to manage a person's stock if we pay them? We don't get into the business of managing people's money. There are a lot of good money managers out there, but we don't really want to get into that space of managing money like that. We can guide you on investing on the fundamentals. And the truth be told, for a lot of stuff, you really don't need a money manager, honestly. Passive investing works pretty well too. We literally have trained kids on how to invest and hold their stocks. Because a lot of stock investing is just picking the right stocks and then holding them, like not shuffling them around and all the other stuff. Just buy them and just collect them like you collect pairs of shoes. That's what I do. I have the one good addiction I have is I have an addiction to buying stock. When I see a good investment, I want to buy it because I am empowered with the idea of owning like these big white companies, like seeing these companies and owning them the way they've owned us. I love being an owner. Every time I buy, like if I see a company's making a lot of money, like a Walmart or something, it empowers me to know that I benefit financially. I have real money in my bank account that comes to me because Walmart is making so much money or because Disney put out a new movie, So just collecting those stocks. Now, if you want to know my process, I did do a weekend intensive on how to pick stocks, like an 11-step process that I use. If you look up the drboycemethod.com, the drboycemethod.com, I did a whole 11-step breakdown of exactly the process I go through to decide which stocks I want to add to my portfolio. And also in the Black Stock Market program, we have something called What Dr. Boyce is Buying, where if you don't want to go through the process, you can just, get my stock picks directly from me. So feel free to just go to my website, boycewatkins.com or thedrboycemethod.com. Okay, guys. So anyway, before I head out, the last thought I guess I would share is I'll go back to my original point that, Black wealth in this journey, like my original hope in the beginning when I first started doing a lot of this stuff was I was hoping like I could somehow convince the majority of Black people to get on the same agenda when it comes to wealth and ownership and all that stuff. And I gave up on that years ago. There's just too many diverse perspectives on things, and also just so many things working against us. If you look at just what kids are taught in school, to what they're taught on the job, to what they're taught in media, so many things that they're taught are very anti-wealth because from the very beginning of your life, they're training you to be a consumer. They didn't integrate you so you can come in and own white companies and own property that used to belong to white people. They didn't integrate you so you could take over. They didn't move you into the house so you could become the owner of the house. They moved you into the house so you could become the help. They didn't move you in so you could get the master bedroom. They moved you in so you could sleep in the basement. They didn't move in so they could help you. They moved you in so you could help them. And so they integrated you for the same reason that they love bringing immigrants across the border. They don't bring them here so they can own America. They bring them here so they can work for the people who own America. So this, in my view, leads us to really want to reverse the effects of integration. To some extent, integration was a bit of a social disease for Black people. And it's time to do a little bit of a detox, just a little bit of voluntary segregation, not to the point where you can't talk to white people. I'm not saying white people are bad. I don't believe any of that. But to the point where you say, I think I want to get some stuff that belongs to me and people that have my same value system. I don't want to be diluted anymore. I don't want to necessarily pour myself into things that are built by other people. It's almost like if you spent your whole life as a babysitter or as a nanny, at some point you might say, I think I want to go be a mom, or I think I want to go be a parent now. I want to go have my own kids because when I have my own kids, then I can say and do what I want to do. I can't do what I want. I can't raise kids the way I want if they're your kids, right? Because you can always come take that away from me. Because remember this, your child can never, no matter how many years you work for that company, your child will never inherit that job. You cannot pass that job down to your kids. They can't, it's not possible. You can put in a recommendation. Maybe they'll replace you with your child if you beg them enough. But at the end of the day, you can't pass that job to your kids. So the question you would ask yourself, I think a good question to ask yourself in general is if I die tomorrow, now you're talking to a man where both of my parents have cancer right now. So we're having a lot of really grim conversations. I appreciate all the sympathies and everything, but I don't need that right now. I'm being openly reflective, but that's just honest to God truth. That's my truth I'm facing right now. There's a lot of conversation about transition. There's a lot of conversation about what do we actually own? What was all this worth? In all the years that we gave to this thing called life, what did we accumulate? What do we have to show for it? So the question is, if you die tomorrow, what do you have to leave other people? RIP to Pele. Pele just died. I see y'all mentioning it in the chat. He was a great athlete. I read about him a lot when I was a kid. What do you have? What can you give your kids? It would typically come in at least one of three areas. So question. So let's start with real estate. What real estate can you sign over and give to your children? And if the answer is nothing, then that's okay. You just got to understand that you might want to address that. Second area might be a business. What business interests do you have? Do you have a business? Do you have an LLC or anything that you created that you can pass to your kids? Is there any business that you can bring them into that can allow them to create their own job? Third is stock. Stock's probably the easiest one because you can actually own stock in 5 minutes. If you go to my website, boycewatkins.com, or if you're on Instagram, the link's in the bio. I got free stuff on there that'll get you started investing in 5 minutes. So do you have stock? Can you just give your kids some stock, sign it over to them? What do you have? Those are the three main areas. And then maybe it's like cash. And then you get into the intangibles, right? Like maybe you're giving them life lessons and wisdom and good values. And all those things are very important too. Those things are extremely important too. But the problem is that wisdom and good values don't really do a lot for you when your rent is due, in a couple of weeks, and your boss is breathing down your neck and you hate your life, right? A lot of mental health problems come from Black people who hate getting up and going to work every day. They hate being around the people that they have to be around every day. So when you are giving some sort of financial protection to your kids, what you're doing is you're giving them peace of mind. You're giving them something the money can't buy. You can't buy your peace. You can't buy your mental health, right? But you kind of can buy it, at least by making sure you're financially secure. Financial freedom, financial security does create mental health. My mental health went up when I got rich. My mental health was stellar when I didn't have to go talk to people unless I wanted to. My mental health went up when I owned my own business. So let's not even act like money doesn't directly impact your mental health, because if you think about the number one thing that stresses people out every day, it's usually money. It's usually money. So if money is the number one stressor for you and your children, then in my opinion, if you want to protect your children, the biggest thing you would teach them about is how to have enough money so they don't end up stressed out. It's like if you need water to live and water is scarce, I'm going to get up every day thinking about how I'm going to go get some water, and I'm going to learn where the water supplies are and how to make sure I protect the water that I get, right? You got to obtain and protect the things that are going to give you what you need in order to be happy and peaceful and safe. So keep that in mind as you think about your kids. The last thing I was going to mention, I forgot about this. If you die tomorrow, maybe it's something as basic as a life insurance policy. That's another one. Life insurance, simple as hell, very simple. Tons of people out here selling insurance. I go to theblackInsuranceNetwork.com, theblackInsuranceNetwork.com. It's run by a lady named Yolanda. So if you go to theblackInsuranceNetwork.com and get you some life insurance, tell her I sent you. She'll treat you real nice. But because little things like that are just so huge, and I would encourage you to think about those things, because I think when you get closer to the end of your life, you kind of start reflecting on, like, I worked really hard for a really long time and did a lot of stuff for a lot of people. So what do you have to show for it? And if you're young, start thinking about these things now so that you don't end up old with a whole bunch of regrets. That's not fun, because then you can't do nothing about it. So that's my 2 cents. I didn't mean to get all philosophical with y'all today. I know we were going to talk about Elon and all that stuff, but I don't know. This is on my mind. So I hope that this helps somebody. So anyway, guys, if you could hit that thumbs up button before you go. And also, if you are interested, we do have a shipment coming in of financial flashcards. So if you go to financialflashcards.com, they will arrive in January. We sold out, but we ordered some more, so they'll be arriving in January. And we got some really good flashcards. We got flashcards that cover money. We got flashcards that cover stock market investing, flashcards for your kids that cover real estate, and flashcards that cover credit and credit scores and credit reports and all that stuff. So feel free to go to financialflashcards.com if you'd like to grab a bundle pack. So have a good day, everybody, and God bless you. And thank you to pathwaysunited.org for sponsoring the podcast also. And they will help you with your grant. If you're looking for grant funding from the federal government, they're very good at that. So take care, everybody. Have a good day. God bless you. And I will see you all very, very soon. Take care now. Peace.